So, good or bad, rightly or wrongly, the BBC and Doctor Who are shifting into a new era because Chris Chibnall and Jodie are leaving. They're set to leave fairly soon. Now, is the show going to change radically? It's unclear, but this is definitely the end of a certain era with the Whoverse, and we're going to be responding to Nerdrotic. I'm actually going to be a little bit with Gary. I've been mostly critical of Gary and how he assesses things, but I'm actually fairly in agreement, at least halfway, with where he's going to go with what this means for the future of Doctor Who.
Called Dr. Karen, it was to make the past more diverse. That's right. I know He-Man fans are feeling it right now, but they deliberately went into the past, gave the Doctor an origin that no one asked for, and made William Hartnell a little black girl and then pushed her off a cliff. She regenerated, and then the stunning woman of science known as Tecteun went and murdered the Doctor over and over again. I put this up on Twitter the other day, the list of murdered franchises in order of severity, and Doctor Who is a clear number one. No one even questioned it. Now, the MCU will end up on this list. That's a work in progress. When it comes to sacrificing on the altar of agenda, Doctor Who remains the prime example. We got to give the BBC some credit. They worked really hard to make the show for everyone, the show for absolutely no one. Again, with the rumors, that was just me passing on information. I'm not going to say I was right. I'm not going to say I told you so, but I will say I told you so specifically to the BBC on this. I told you the female Doctor wouldn't work because the Doctor is an established male character, and I have all the proof I need. Cratering ratings, horrible Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic scores, and it's only going to get worse. And
all right, so I am strongly in agreement with his basic tact, though I think in terms of the details, I don't like the way he's framing Jodie as this demonic, evil, feminist beast. She has been on record she was never a big, huge fan of Doctor Who, and she had to do a lot of learning. And again, I suspect a lot of fans think she still needs to learn a lot more. But I have no issue with Jodie per se. Now, I myself, I want to be very clear on this. I really stopped watching after David Tennant. So I've been a long-term fan. So I've watched tons of the old episodes. Of course, like most people, Baker's my favorite. And I love McCoy as well as the Doctor, although he's not very canonical. So I know a lot of the old Who and some of the new Who, but I stopped watching a long time ago. And ironically, probably because of Gary, because just what he's describing is absolutely nuts. Now, the idea of the Doctor being a woman is not necessarily impossible given the regeneration process, but I think he's correct. All this pointless, radical retconning of this or that aspect, and a lot of the forced political correctness is really, really annoying and has declined the quality of the show. And clearly audiences have fled. In fact, even though the BBC gave them a very congratulatory note and saying they kind of left on a high note, they've lost a huge amount of the audience. So he is correct that a lot of these changes were very, very dubious. But I don't think you can say that Chibnall doesn't know Who. It's just that he had a very bizarre particular interpretation. And although it didn't work for him, I have met people, real people, who really liked it and really liked what Jodie and he did. So I agree with him that this has mostly been a bad radical retcon with a little payoff, but to be totally fair, it has worked for some people. But I basically do agree that the show needs a lot of work and needs to repair itself. Is it going to do so in the near future? Probably not. Probably the BBC is just going to do the same old thing for some time, but I do think they're going to continue losing the audience. So eventually they're just going to wipe this whole thing out and do a hard reboot and just start all over, which I think is the best thing for it. But will they do it with better people, more talented people, more caring people? That remains to be seen. But to me, it's not hard. They just need to hire better writers. And so far, they just keep throwing mediocre writers and just doing political nonsense that doesn't really improve the level and quality of the show. But that's me. But I've been out of Who for a while, and I don't think I'll come back. I just think Tennant peaked the show. It was fun for a while. I hope they'll do better, but they'd have to really do something to lure me back in, and so far they're doing nothing for that. But I hope Chris Chibnall and Jodie future success. But yeah, I think it was overdue that they had to leave, and let's start over. That's my opinion. Thanks for listening.